Hi guys, today we are doing practice 4 on page 197. Practice 3 was a can do. So we're going to go ahead and we are learning about bar graphs and line plots. So up here it says Miss Raphael's students took a science quiz. Each student answered 10 questions. Each correct answer earned 1 point. The tally chart below shows the scores. So it wants us to complete the tally chart. Up here it says scores, so these are the different scores that were possible, 1 through 10. This is our tally column, and this tells us how many students received each of those scores by a tally mark, and here we're going to actually write the number to represent those tallies. So on number score 1, no one received a score of a 1, so we're going to put a 0 here. A score of a 2, no one received a 2, so we're going to put a 0 there. We had 4 students who received a score of 3, and a score of 4, we had 1 student who received a score of 4. A score of 5, we have 3 tally marks, so 3 students received a score of 5. On number score 6, we had 5 tally marks, so 5 students scored. And then on scoring of a 7, we had 6 students because we have 6 tally marks. Here we have a score of 8. We have 2 students who received that score. We have 1 student who received a score of 9, and then we have 3 students who got all 10 correct. All right, so we have completed the chart. We are now going to use this chart to help us create a bar graph on number 2. So we're going to turn to page 198 using that same chart. So it says here, complete the bar graph to show the data. Label your graph. Okay, labeling the graph for me is going to be a little bit tricky, so I'm going to tell you how to label yours. So our graph is talking about science quiz. So we're going to label across the top here, this is our science quiz. All right, so we're going to write science quiz across the top here. Okay, then we're going to look at our numbers that we have going down the side, and then we have numbers going across the bottom here. So what we need to do is we need to label what these numbers here represent and what these numbers here across the bottom represent so that we understand how to read our bar graph. Okay, so over here, this is going to be our students. So this is how many students received each of the scores. Sorry. And so you should be labeling this on your workbook. And then across the bottom here, this is their scores. And I hope yours is easier to read than Miss Brittany's, because that's pretty scary looking. All right, so now I'm going to change my thing here because we want these to look like bars. Now, the tools that I have available on this don't make the best bars, but we'll do the best we can. So looking at our chart, we have scores 1 through 10. So we're going to look at score 1 on our chart. How many people scored? How many students scored a 1? Well, no one. So we're going to try and make that a 0. Okay. Then how many scored a 2? Again, 0. Okay, now how many scored a 3? Well, we'll notice that on our chart on page 197, it says 4 students. So what we want to do is we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to start at the top actually and draw my bar going down. Okay, and then we're going to look how many students scored a 4. Well, we have 1 student, it says, so we're going to make our bar graph go to the 1. Please forgive that there's a little extra over that. It should go right to the line, but being precise on this is a little bit tricky. Okay, how many scored 5? Well, we look on our chart and it says that 3 did. So I'm going to put 3 people scored a 5. How many scored 6? Well, according to my chart, I have 5 people. So I'm going to do 5. Okay, and then how many on our chart does it say 7? Scored a 7, we have 6. So I'm going to come up on my chart to the 6 and make a bar graph. And now I'm going to look at how many scored 8. It says 2. How many scored 9? Just 1. And then we had 3 people who scored a perfect 10. So I can look now at my bar graph and I can look, oh, well, I can see that most of the students scored a 7 because that's my tallest bar there. Okay, the least amount was here, those that did not score anything, for a 1 and a 2. All right, I'm going to go ahead and clear this and we're going to go to number 3. Says use the data in the bar graph to create a line plot. So what we can do here is we can plot those numbers on a line. And there's different ways you can do it. A lot of times they'll put like little X's above each line. We're going to just use dots for ours. So just like before, we had how many, so this right here is how many students scored each of these. So just like in our line plot, we didn't have anyone who scored a 1. We didn't have anyone who scored a 2. We had 4 students who scored 3. So we're going to have our plots look like this. Okay, 4, we had 1. 5, we had 3. No, I don't know why it's doing that. On 6, we had 5. 7, we had 6. 8, we had 2. 9, we had 1. And 10, we had 3. So now we're going to use the information from our two different types of graphs to answer questions 4 through 7. Sorry. All right, number 4, how many students scored 6 points? Okay, so we can look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 students. How many students scored more than 5 points? So now we're going to do a little bit of math. Okay, so we have on our chart, we have more than 5 points. So here's 5 points, right? You could just count. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Another way that you could solve that, instead of just counting them, you could add each of those. So for our score of 6, we had 5. So you could do 5 plus 6, which is 11, plus 2, which is 13, plus 1, which is 14, plus 3, which is 17. Again, different strategies that you could use. So number 6, it says how many students took the science quiz? Well, I could do the strategy of counting each of those, or again, I could add each of them together. All right, so 4 plus 1 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 13, 13 plus 6 is 19, plus 2 is 21, plus 1 is 23, 22 plus 3 is 25. So we would have 25 students. Again, different strategies, either counting or adding. For a lot of us, it just depends on what we're comfortable with. Again, sometimes when I add, I make groups of 10. That's the strategy that we've used. That makes it a lot easier. So number 7, Mrs. Raphael awarded a sticker to each student who scored more than 7 points. How many stickers did she give out? So more than 7 points. So it didn't say 7 and more, it said more than 7. So I'm going to assume that she's talking about more than 7. So more than 7 would be 8, 9, and 10. So we have 2 here, 1 here, which gives us 3 plus 3 more, which is 6. So she gave a total of 6 stickers out to students who scored more, right here, more than 7 points. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move to our next page. And here we have put on your thinking cap. This is a can do. And then you also have put on your thinking cap problem solving. This is a can do as well. And then as you scroll down, you have the chapter review and test. We are not going to be doing those pages. If you really, really want to, you can do those. But that is everything for the remainder of the chapter is a can do. It is not a must do. All right. Thanks so much. Keep working hard.